Hey guys, welcome back to Curse and Retro. Tonight's video is going to be on resentments. And I think the topic of resentments is something that obviously hits all of our lives, especially for those of us that are in recovery from addiction. Um, I can't tell you how many meetings, groups, whatever, personal interactions, conversations I've had throughout my recovery journey that specifically speaks about resentments. And many times it's me causing that conversation. So when I first started down this journey of sobriety, sober living, um, as we go through the 12 steps, I really focused. I felt like most of my focus was on making amends. And basically, for those that don't follow, if you're tuning in the channel, just for performance related conversation and not addiction, for us, we make amends, and that for the people that we've harmed, so long as we don't harm them more by approaching them, we apologize for the specific things that we believe that we've caused harm to them. It's received with a wide variety of responses. Some don't forgive us and don't want to talk to us. Some don't want to receive that information, so we stay away as not cause further damage. And some receive it well, and some just hear us out. But there's a wide variety. But I felt like at first going in my early stages is that this feeling like that I was the villain in everybody's story. I've spent all this time on making amends, when in the actuality, there's another piece that's equally as damaging to somebody in sobriety, or is somebody that's trying to travel a sober journey. And that is the notion of resentments and these things where we feel like people have done harm to us and, you know, irritated us or we place blame on them for any number of reasons. And resentments can really betray our journey in a big way. In fact, I've noticed recently, as I've started to really dig into this a little bit more, not only for myself, but for those around me, resentments can be incredibly derailing. They can isolate you, inhibit your growth from a sober journey as well as a human. They can replace your God and your higher power. Resentments can really become the sole focus of your life versus the putting up curbs and boundaries around the issues that could cause you to have a reoccurrence. Resentments is a pretty big deal. For me, resentments, I had an epiphany today. Maybe you all have know this already, but I'm a little slow to the game on this. Resentments doesn't have to be a specific person. Up till now, as I've progressed, I always consider, okay, well, I've got this resentment against this person or that person. Well, I've had a new realization, and it honestly came through in its fullness to me tonight in a group that I was in. And there was a lot of conversation again about resentments in there. And I just realized something. One of the challenges I'm having with resentments today is that it's a state of mind. It's not somebody specific. And I'll explain what I mean by that. In our home, we've got a mindset that says that we'll collectively go forward. So there's, we're trying to do everything we possibly can do to go through some tough times. And that's a collective mission to say, okay, we're going to go forward. We're going to get through this one way or another. While that's a noble thought process to have that mindset that says that you will go forward and go at any circumstance to find a way to get to your goals, that, of course, that's something that you would really get behind and applaud somebody that actually accomplished their goals with that mindset. The issue for me, and this is where resentments become a problem, is that I may not have resentments going into it, but if I get so tenacious around this one mission, I can make everything and everybody my enemy. And these resentments become a state of mind for me and not a specific person. It's just the very next person that's not aligning with the mission and doing something that directly I can see is supportive of what we're trying to accomplish. And God forbid I perceive that they're trying to block it or put negative press around us or give too much advice that I don't want to hear. All these things that in many cases are well-meaning behaviors, I can take them on and I can get very resentful. And the more that I'm tenacious towards the goal, the more aggressive I can get about that. And for me, resentments manifest itself a lot of times in their response mechanisms for me for fear. And fear has a response mechanism of anger. So if I have all these things where I have this noble intent that I'm going forward and causing our family to rise and do all these great things, and then I start to perceive, okay, well, everything's the enemy except for this goal. Now, the state of mind that I'm in is resentful of people that come and go, and some that I haven't even met yet. I'm constantly in the state of battling people that aren't really part of the fight. The fight is the goal, not the people around me. And it's a delicate balance for somebody like me. When your mindset is one of you want to be one that's victorious. At the same time, I have this other aggressive side of me that can easily make every single person around me my enemy. Now I add into that the fear that I have, and which caused us to have to work so hard to move beyond, because there's some very fearful things that our home is facing and has to face, and understand worst case scenarios, best case scenarios, and reasonable outcomes. We have to look at those things, and they all cause fear. Many of them cause fear. Even the best case scenarios cause fear in our circumstance. And so for somebody like me, if I've gone forward and I've created a battle zone, and all of a sudden I'm starting to feel that anything around me is either, if I can't clearly see that it's supportive of what we're trying to accomplish here, I see it as an inhibitor in the minimal, and I can see it as a roadblock in the median. I can see it as an enemy in worst case scenario. And as the fear starts to manifest that all these things are going on around, anger comes out. Anger is also a defense mechanism for me against my enemies that are coming after what I perceive coming after my family. Resentment can take two paths, or this mindset notion can take two paths. The mindset that I have currently could take us down a road of success. Clearly objective driven, highly accountable, has due dates, has accountability partners, has very specific things that need to be done on a daily basis. Those all could lead to success. Where they don't is when you start resenting everything. Everybody's the enemy. All things are opposed to you as your perception, and all must agree. Because if they don't, then they're on the bad person's list. So how do we deal with this? And I came across a great video tonight. It's called The Only Cure for Resentments, and it is by Dr. Mark Baker. I'd never heard of him before. Perhaps you have. Hopefully he's not some kind of psycho, but this seemed like a reasonable video, so I'm gonna take a risk. This guy doesn't have any calamity in his background that I'm promoting, but I like the video that he had here because what he alleges is the cure for resentment. And so given all this context of all these other conversations, I thought it'd be good for us to hear this. Now it's a 2-minute and 10-second video. I'm going to play it in its totality, and I hope that you find this as beneficial as I did, and we'll pick back up in the conversation that we're having afterwards. Here's Dr. Baker.
Resentment will kill you. I mean it. We have lots of research to show us that the feeling of resentment will eat you up from the inside. It causes ulcers, it causes physical problems all throughout the body, and it can last a lifetime unless you figure out the cure for resentment. And there is only one cure for resentment. It's forgiveness.
So, another thing I hadn't thought about is the long-term implications of the amount of stress that it puts in your body and the health concerns. But Dr. Baker is alleging that the one cure is forgiveness. Now that sounds pretty cookie cutter. So let's see what else he has to say, because I don't know about you, but if I'm having resentments, the hardest thing in the world for me to be is to forgive, especially if it's a general state of mind and it's not after somebody specific. How do I forgive unknown enemies that I've chosen to pick before I even met them?
See, the core of resentment is when you have a problem really with yourself, you just don't realize it. Let me explain. Resentment is the feeling of anger that you have as a result of feeling demeaned. Now, anger itself is not the problem. Anger is energy to solve a problem. That's all.
So I just spoke about the fact that fear, anger is how. So apparently my mindset, according to this doctor, is that anger is a way for me to solve the problem of fear, solve the problem of resentment, solve the problem of my enemies getting in the way of my story and my work that I choose to do.
All it is. And psychologically, anger is not necessarily a problem, but the resentment form of anger is, because resentment is when you have felt demeaned and you believe your worth has been lessened by being demeaned.
For my story, that's 100% true. So if I generally come into things when I'm really getting angry that I feel like somebody's trying to put me in a position as less than them, and then that's really what spins me up. So I'm 100% agreement with him on this crossroads of angry resentment and how dangerous that is.
Nobody resents a tornado. You resent a person who has now made you believe in your own mind that your worth has been lessened and you need to even the scales. Now, there's a difference between righteous indignation and resentment. Righteous indignation is the moral outrage you feel when you view injustice. And you're going to get angry when you view injustice because you want to see that injustice stopped. But resentment is the anger you feel towards another person who has made you feel demeaned, and now you believe in your own mind that your worth has been lessened and you need to make them pay.
I'm not 100% sure I'll go all that way. Maybe I'd have to digest what he said a little bit more. But I do believe in that notion that this goes back to your mindset again, that fine line between being successful. So you talked about righteous indignation versus resentment, angry resentment. And I can see the distinction for sure. And I think that obviously righteous indignation is more noble in terms of its outcome and your anger towards, matters where others, I would argue that, and I don't know if he said this directly, and maybe he did say it and I just missed it, but righteous indignation is really about others demeaning others, whereas resentment's about your response to what you feel is somebody demeaning you. And man, that definitely resonates with my life and what I believe for me.
That's why even when people get revenge, which is based on resentment, they never really stop hating that other person, because the resentment that caused the revenge is based on the shame that came from feeling demeaned and now believing in your own mind that your worth has been lessened, and you're just going to be angry at the other person as if it's their fault and they need to pay. And even after you make them pay, you've never addressed the shame and the doubts in your own mind about your worth that were the cause of the resentment in the first place. When you resent someone and you're looking out there as if they're the source of your anger, you're looking in the wrong place. If you want to heal your resentment, you need to realize the problem was never with the other person. It's a problem that you have with yourself.
So I thought that was pretty good. I hope you do too. I think that's correct. It is a problem you have with yourself in terms of how you approach these things. Many times they're things that really aren't within your control to deal with anyway. So you're just having an emotion that's destroying you. My resentments in a lot of ways are my biggest detractors for success. And others that I talk to have the same issue. So I thought it was important to jump on here today. I've had a number of people in the recovery journey that have been talking about resentments over the last few days. I've got one person in my life that says it's really the key to lack of success up to this point. And I would say for me, it's becoming an ever increasing state of mind as I have this noble mission of saving and moving my family forward. This can be a real derailer for anything successful that I plan to do, including messaging towards you guys. So my 2 cents on resentment, I'll probably have more to share on that later because it's such an important topic in our lives. But for tonight, these were the things that I've observed, and I came across that video and I thought that might be something that would be useful to you. Guys, please like and subscribe. Check out the TikTok if you want, and start following over there. We got some good stuff out there and getting some positive responses. Please share the channel. See if there's anything on here that would be useful for your fellows and the people in your community. And because I want to make this community bigger. We're all fellow travelers. We're all just trying to work it out. And I've never been more convinced of that in my life as I have been over the last few weeks. And the people that I hadn't known before then, that we're all kind of working together on our futures together as well. So please like, subscribe, and share. Comment on this video if there's things that you'd like to add to some of the things that we've said here. If you agree, disagree, maybe some additional thoughts that you had that you might want to share, I would really appreciate hearing from you. If you don't have anything to share between now and the next time we talk, I'm going to do everything I can to stay out of trouble. And I hope you do too.